Magandang umaga, good morning. Thank you to StratBase, a valued partner of the U.S. Embassy, for inviting me to speak, and to all of the distinguished guests here for coming together to commemorate the 8-year anniversary of the Philippines' victory at the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague. The significance of the July 12, 2016 arbitral ruling extends well beyond the Philippines. It stands as a milestone for all who seek a prosperous, inclusive, and secure Indo-Pacific region, and who undertake to uphold the rule of law around the world. While discussions about the arbitral decision, which ruled overwhelmingly in favor of the Philippines, often emphasize its crucial impact on security, today I would like to highlight its contributions to global prosperity, another crucial contribution of the ruling. The arbitral award was a milestone in setting out the legal rights and lawful maritime entitlements of the Philippines and the PRC in the South China Sea, clarifying extensive maritime areas where the Philippines enjoys sovereign rights and jurisdiction over natural resources in its exclusive economic zone and on its continental shelf. At the same time, it memorialized vast maritime areas where all nations enjoy freedom of navigation and overflight under international law, providing the legal foundation for trade, investment, and economic activity to thrive in the Indo-Pacific region. The South China Sea is one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world, facilitating over $3 trillion in annual trade. It is also home to abundant biodiversity and accounts for 12% of the global fish catch, supporting the livelihoods of millions. So the stakes and the impacts are extremely high. The Indo-Pacific region accounts for 60% of global GDP and 2/3 of global economic growth. U.S. companies continue to be the top source of foreign direct investment in the Indo-Pacific region, with nearly $1 trillion in investments, and trade between the United States and the region exceeds $2 trillion. A trusted international legal framework is essential for this robust economic activity to continue. The United States is committed to expanding trade and investment between our two countries to strengthen both of our economies. The U.S. is already the Philippines' largest export market. American companies are among the Philippines' largest and oldest investors, private employers, and taxpayers. Our commercial ties have created hundreds of thousands of Filipino jobs. In the first half of this year, we have reached new heights in reaffirming the United States' steadfast commitment to the U.S.-Philippine economic relationship. Following their historic Trilateral Leaders Summit, President Biden, President Marcos, and Prime Minister Kishida jointly announced the Luzon Economic Corridor that will promote port, rail, and digital infrastructure projects in the Philippines. U.S. Secretary of Commerce Gina Raimondo led a first-of-its-kind presidential trade and investment mission to Manila, highlighting more than $1 billion in combined investments that promote the Philippines' innovation economy, clean energy transition, and supply chain resilience. And in May, we in the Philippines co-hosted the 6th Indo-Pacific Business Forum here in Manila. President Marcos became the first head of state to address this forum, and over 700 senior executives, officials, and journalists from across the region attended, launching $20 million in new U.S. economic programs and celebrating over $5 billion in new U.S. investments in the region. Secretary Blinken highlighted partnerships in the semiconductor sector during his visit in March to Manila, and the Millennium Challenge Corporation CEO Alice Albright's visit this year jump-started development of a new Philippine MCC threshold program. All the engagements and plans that I just mentioned depend on a stable legal structure and on international norms, including with regard to the law of the sea. The Philippines absolutely has the right to fully leverage its resources on land and at sea in pursuit of economic growth. With the 2016 arbitral ruling, the Philippines secured a final and legally binding decision that validates the country's sovereign rights and jurisdiction over its exclusive economic zone and continental shelf, including around Second Thomas Shoal. As we have often heard President Marcos say, Economic security is national security. For the past 8 years, the Arbitral Award has been a linchpin in the Philippines' national security vision for a peaceful and prosperous archipelagic nation, one that the United States steadfastly supports. The United States is proud to stand with the Philippines as we work together to bolster our 73-year-old alliance. Described as ironclad and on hyperdrive, our alliance grows stronger by the day through 500 joint exercises and other engagements every single year. We have deliberately and decisively built up the connective tissue of the alliance over decades, exercising it frequently, keeping it fit and stronger than ever. As Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Indo-Pacific, Eli Ratner said just about 12 hours ago in Washington, and I quote, "We have elevated the U.S.-Philippines alliance to stand among our most vital defense partnerships in the world." I could offer many examples over the past year alone to demonstrate ways in which the United States and the Philippines have routinely operationalized our commitments, supporting capacity-building programs to enhance maritime domain awareness, and improving the ability of civilian and military vessels to routinely fly, sail, and operate anywhere that international law allows. One cornerstone of our ironclad alliance is the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA, that allows Filipino and American forces to train together more closely to modernize and to respond to shared threats, including natural disasters. To date, through EDCA, we have invested about $120 million, or 7 billion pesos, to repair runways, build disaster response warehouses, and improve critical infrastructure. These investments also spur economic growth and opportunity in local communities. We have expanded networks of support for the Philippines and a free and open Indo-Pacific. The United States, the Philippines, Japan, Australia, Canada, and France have engaged in a series of multilateral maritime cooperative activities in an unprecedented show of solidarity. Sailing together sends a clear message that we are all committed to upholding freedom of navigation and overflight in accordance with international law. We are also encouraged by the opportunities enabled by the Reciprocal Access Agreement announced this week by Japan and the Philippines. To quote Assistant Secretary Ratner again, "The future we're striving for is one with greater interoperability and cooperation among like-minded Indo-Pacific partners, and this means enhanced reciprocal access, more participation in larger and more complex regional exercises, greater investment together in advanced capabilities, and the Philippines stands at the intersection of all of that." With the backing of an increasingly interconnected latticework of alliances and partnerships, the United States continues to urge the PRC to cease escalatory and dangerous harassment of Philippine vessels that are lawfully operating in the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, to stop infringing on the Philippines' rights to explore, conserve, and manage natural resources, and to cease interfering with freedom of navigation and overflight of all states lawfully operating in the region. Secretary of State Blinken reasserted our call to the PRC to abide by the 2016 ruling in a statement issued just this morning. We applaud President Marcos and the government of the Philippines for defending the well-being of its service members on the BRP Sierra Madre. It was my honor on Wednesday this week, on a visit to Westcom, when I met with Admiral Torres and his team, to address the crew of the LS-57 via video conference, to thank them for the important role that they play in defending Philippine rights, and by extension, the rights of all of us under international law. We are proud to be among the chorus of nations that have consistently lent their voices to calling out incidents of aggression. The volume of condemnation from the international community is loud and getting louder, and it speaks to our common resolve in support of the international rules and norms that benefit us all. I want to thank Stratbase and Dindo again for inviting me here to speak to you all today, and I am confident that our efforts that we undertake together will continue to to strengthen the U.S.-Philippine relationship as friends, partners, and allies. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat po.